As November 2025 drew to a close, the Midwest braced for a storm unlike any in living memory. The air was thick with anticipation and a sense of unease, as families tuned in to weather reports and watched the skies darken. Across small towns and sprawling cities, people recalled stories of legendary storms from decades past, but nothing could quite prepare them for what was coming. Meteorologists warned of a historic blizzard, as a powerful low-pressure system prepared to collide Gulf moisture with Arctic air. In weather centers, experts tracked the storm's every move, their faces lit by the glow of radar screens. The collision of warm, humid air from the south with frigid northern winds created the perfect recipe for chaos. Winter storm warnings blanketed a dozen states, with cities like Chicago facing predictions not seen in over a century. The city's iconic skyline disappeared behind a curtain of swirling snow, and highways emptied as authorities urged everyone to stay home. For many, the warnings felt surreal. Could this really be the storm of the century? The storm threatened to halt travel, close airports, and test the resilience of millions, just as the holiday season began. Flights were canceled by the hundreds, and major interstates became impassable. Families hoping to reunite for Thanksgiving found themselves stranded, forced to wait out the storm's fury. Supermarket shelves emptied, road crews mobilized, and communities prepared for a collective pause. Neighbors checked on one another, sharing supplies and stories, while snowplows lined up in anticipation of the long hours ahead. The sense of community grew stronger as the storm approached, with everyone knowing they would need to rely on each other. On satellite, the storm appeared as a vast, swirling vortex, promising heavy snow, fierce winds, and treacherous ice. The sheer size of the system was staggering, stretching from the Dakotas to Ohio, its spiral arms reaching out like the fingers of a giant. Meteorologists compared it to some of the most powerful blizzards in recorded history. The Great Lakes, Iowa farmlands, and urban corridors of Illinois and Michigan all braced for impact. Farmers worried about livestock and crops, while city dwellers stocked up on essentials and prepared for power outages. From rural homesteads to bustling downtowns, everyone felt the weight of what was to come. This was the kind of storm that would be remembered for generations, a benchmark for all future blizzards. People recalled tales from their grandparents about the blizzard of '78 or the Great Storm of '49, but this event promised to eclipse them all. The Midwest was about to add a new chapter to its long history of winter survival. As ominous clouds gathered, the Midwest waited, knowing their world was about to be transformed. Streets that were once busy grew silent, and the first flakes began to fall, swirling in the wind. It was a moment of calm before the chaos, as nature prepared to unleash its full power. The scale was breathtaking, a meteorological titan marching across the continent. From the air, the storm looked like a living thing, swallowing towns and cities in its path. The Midwest, so often defined by its resilience, was about to face one of its greatest tests. The Great Midwest Blizzard of 2025 was about to write its name in history, one snowflake at a time. In the days and weeks to come, stories of courage, hardship, and community would emerge, reminders of the power of nature and the enduring spirit of those who call the Midwest home. The blizzard's fiercest impacts struck a corridor from South Dakota and Nebraska through Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. Major cities like Des Moines, Madison, Milwaukee, and Chicago faced whiteout conditions and impassable highways. Even these winter-hardened cities found their infrastructure pushed to the limit. Heavy wet snow snapped tree limbs and power lines, plunging thousands into darkness. Iowa's fields vanished under drifts, while Chicago's snow-fighting fleet faced its greatest November test. Michigan braced for a double blow, the main storm, then relentless lake-effect snow. Indiana's north was buried, while the south saw a messy mix of sleet and rain. The storm drew a sharp line. Those north of it were in the grip of a true winter disaster. By Sunday morning, snowfall totals across the Midwest had reached truly staggering levels. Over a foot of accumulation was common in many neighborhoods, with snowdrifts piling up against homes and cars. Residents woke up to a world transformed overnight, with familiar streets and yards buried beneath a thick, unbroken blanket of white. The sheer amount of snow was enough to bring daily life to a standstill, as people struggled to dig out driveways and sidewalks just to get moving. In some areas of Iowa and Illinois, totals reached an astonishing 18 inches or more, setting new local records and leaving entire communities nearly unrecognizable beneath the snow. Rural roads disappeared, and fields became vast, white expanses stretching to the horizon. Chicago's O'Hare Airport, a major hub for travelers, recorded its largest November snowfall since 1895. The airport was nearly paralyzed, with runways and terminals buried under heavy drifts, causing widespread delays and cancellations. The city itself was brought to a near halt, as plows struggled to keep up with the relentless accumulation. Milwaukee, Madison, Des Moines, and Cedar Rapids were similarly buried. Their downtowns eerily quiet as businesses closed and residents hunkered down. The usual bustle of city life was replaced by a rare, peaceful silence, broken only by the sound of shovels and snowblowers. The storm's consistency was remarkable. A vast corridor, hundreds of miles wide, saw historic snow from the Great Plains to the Great Lakes. Highways vanished beneath the drifts, and travel became nearly impossible for days. The wet, heavy, heart-attack snow strained infrastructure, weighing down power lines and trees, and making cleanup a grueling, exhausting task for both residents and city workers. Snowplows labored to clear the thick, slushy mess, often only to find roads quickly covered again by blowing snow. As colder air swept in behind the storm, the snow turned lighter and began to drift, forming massive piles that blocked roads and buried cars completely. Some vehicles were left stranded for days, invisible beneath the wind-sculpted drifts. The storm's legacy was measured not just in inches, but in the sheer volume and weight of snow that blanketed the Midwest. Towns and farms alike were transformed, their familiar features softened and hidden beneath a deep, silent cover. This was a November event for the record books, a storm that would be remembered for years to come. News headlines captured the historic nature of the snowfall, and people ventured out to document the extraordinary scenes. In the aftermath, the landscape was transformed, silent, still, and breathtaking beneath the weight of history. The Midwest awoke to a winter wonderland, forever marked by the storm's incredible power and beauty. The storm's story began on Friday, November 28th, as a cold, relentless rain swept across the rural roads of Nebraska and Iowa. Sleet soon mixed in, coating the landscape in a thin, icy glaze that signaled the arrival of something much more severe. Residents braced themselves, watching the skies darken and the temperature plummet. As the hours passed, the rain and sleet quickly gave way to heavy wet snow. Temperatures dropped sharply, and the world outside transformed into a swirling whiteout. Streets, fields, and rooftops disappeared beneath a thickening blanket of snow, and the first signs of trouble began to appear. By Saturday morning, Iowa was in the grip of a full-blown blizzard. In Des Moines, snow fell at a staggering rate, up to 2 inches per hour, quickly burying cars and homes. Visibility dropped to near zero, and the city seemed to vanish beneath the storm's fury. The storm's reach expanded rapidly. Chicago, Milwaukee, and Madison were soon engulfed, their streets transformed into windswept corridors of swirling snow. Powerful gusts whipped the snow into blinding drifts, making travel impossible and leaving entire neighborhoods isolated. For 12 relentless hours, these cities endured the storm's peak. Snow piled up relentlessly, hour after hour, as residents huddled indoors, listening to the howling wind and watching the world outside disappear beneath a growing sea of white. At the heart of the chaos was a powerful low-pressure center, tracking steadily from Kansas to Lake Michigan. This system dictated the storm's path, determining which communities would be buried under feet of snow and which would be spared the worst. South of the storm's main track, the story was different. Here, rain and sleet dominated, turning roads slick but sparing towns from the heaviest snow. For some, it was a narrow escape from the blizzard's full force. By Sunday, the storm's energy shifted eastward, unleashing its fury on Michigan. Detroit and Flint were blanketed by heavy snow, streets and cars vanishing beneath thick drifts as the region braced for another day of winter's assault. Even as the main storm moved on, the Midwest was not yet free. Brutal winds swept across open fields, and lake-effect snow showers battered communities near the Great Lakes, prolonging the region's struggle against winter's grip. When the skies finally cleared, the true scale of the storm became clear. Cleanup began in earnest, people shoveling driveways, snowplows working around the clock, and entire towns emerging into a world transformed by deep snowbanks and icy silence. The Midwest had weathered a storm for the ages, its resilience tested, and its landscape forever changed by winter's fury. This blizzard was the result of a perfect atmospheric alignment. A deep, low-pressure system spun over the central U.S., drawing in Gulf moisture and Arctic cold. The storm tapped into record levels of water vapor, fueling intense precipitation. A powerful polar vortex over Canada sent frigid air south, ensuring snow instead of rain. The sharp temperature contrast supercharged the storm, making it deepen rapidly. The storm's track, from Colorado through Kansas to Michigan, placed cities like Chicago and Des Moines in the bullseye. Just a 50-mile shift could have spared or buried entire cities. It was the precise combination of moisture, cold, and track that made this blizzard historic. Meteorology textbooks will cite this storm for years to come. The Midwest experienced the perfect storm, literally. While the Midwest battled snow, the storm's southern side unleashed severe thunderstorms. Warm, unstable Gulf air fueled damaging winds, hail, and isolated tornadoes across Texas and Louisiana. Cities like Houston and Dallas faced gusts up to 70 miles per hour and downed trees, and power outages. The same dynamics driving the blizzard created a volatile environment for the South. At the same moment, Chicago shoveled snow. Houston sheltered from spring-like storms. This storm was a study in contrast: snow to the north, violent weather to the south. The storm's warm side also brought torrential rain to Texas and Louisiana. Thunderstorms dumped over an inch of rain, with some areas seeing much more, triggering flash floods. Saturated ground and urban sprawl in cities like Houston led to rapid runoff and overwhelmed storm drains. Authorities issued flash flood warnings, urging residents to stay alert and avoid flooded roads. The heavy rain, combined with clogged drains, created a perfect setup for urban flooding. This storm was a triple threat blizzard: severe storms and dangerous floods. As the storm departed, a brutal Arctic air mass surged south, deepening the Midwest's misery. The fresh snowpack acted as a refrigerator, intensifying the cold. By Monday, December 1st, temperatures plunged, with wind chills dropping to 20 below zero Fahrenheit. Cleanup from the blizzard became a race against frostbite and hypothermia. The polar vortex locked the region into a deep freeze, with temperatures 15 to 20 degrees below normal. Power grids strained as millions cranked up the heat. For those without power, the cold turned dangerous, even deadly. The homeless faced a dire emergency as the cold lingered. The Midwest settled in for a prolonged, punishing winter. The blizzard's second act was silent, but just as deadly. The November blizzard did more than break records. It set the tone for winter. The deep snowpack reflected sunlight, locking in the cold and reinforcing the Arctic air. With the polar vortex anchored, more storms were likely, and forecasters eyed another system for early December. The odds of a white Christmas soared for the Midwest, Great Lakes, and even parts of the South. The snow was unlikely to melt, guaranteeing a wintry landscape for weeks. The blizzard was the dramatic opening act for winter 2025 to 26, promising a season to remember. For millions, the dream of a white Christmas was suddenly within reach.